It is Kendell Lenice, Lady Motivator here. Thank you so much for joining me on Kendell Lenice Live, right here on Facebook. Please don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Tell a friend about my YouTube channel and all of the special interviews I have going on right now and forever, because I love touching people, and that's what this show and channel is about, to elevate, educate, and entertain you. So I'm so happy about today's show because I have someone who I haven't seen in years, but I've known for years, Miss Lisa Scott. Before we bring her on, I would like to just tell you a little bit about Lisa. Lisa Scott lives in New Jersey and is a wife and mother of 4. A metaphysician, speaker, and blogger, as seen in the Huffington Post and in the Mind Body Network. Lisa has also worked in the healthcare industry for 25 years in various administrative capacities. At 12 years old, Lisa stepped into the state of being as a teacher in order to assist herself from having a hard time to getting a B in the class through the use of imagination. Lisa manifested working as an educator for one of her area's largest healthcare organizations without the normally required bachelor's degree. Lisa manifests working a part-time job, making full-time money. I love that. And also, through the use of imagination, took herself back and visited her younger self, giving voice to her younger self and healing an entire timeline of blocked energies, unconscious limiting thoughts based on that healing. Lisa currently holds the Feel It Real Mastermind, which is a monthly membership where she can help you reconnect with your power and consciously increase your inherent manifesting abilities. Lisa is the author of a new e-guide, Go Back and Heal Little You, a guide to giving yourself your voice back. It can be found on her website, which we'll talk about all of that, but PermissionToLiveInTheEnd.com. What a great website that is. What a great woman. Welcome to Kendell Lenice Live, my YouTube channel. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I don't know if I need to take a sip of water after that amazing bio.
Go ahead and take a sip. That's okay. I did.
It's so funny. That is so funny. And I don't need glasses for reading up close, but I don't want it like this.
Right.
So I'm trying to read it far away, and I'm like, goodness, almost 49 years old, you know about that life.
April 28, I'll be 49.
See, and we both graduated from high school in 1989. Shout out to South Jersey, everybody who graduated the class of 1989.
Yes.
Wow, and it seems like yesterday.
It does. It really does. I don't feel, when people say, I'm getting older, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Speak for yourself.
Exactly. I still feel the same age. I mean, I have indications, don't get me wrong, that I'm not 18 anymore. Right. But in my heart, in my soul, in my spirit, I feel that.
Exactly. I feel the same exact way.
So I'm excited to have you on this show today for a lot of different reasons, Lisa. Like I said in the intro, I haven't seen you in years, but I have seen you on social media, and the content that you put out there is simply fascinating and amazing. And I love to see people that I've known for years just do big things and do good things and just walking in their purpose. And that's what you seem to be doing, walking in your purpose. How do you feel about that?
Oh my goodness. I'm so excited to be walking in my purpose because, there was a time where I wasn't doing that, and if you don't mind, I'll just start with a little bit of my journey to getting here.
Absolutely.
Back in 2011, and you and I were speaking on the phone yesterday, and I was telling you that back in 2011, I was experiencing some physical ailments in my body. I was experiencing migraine headaches, indigestion, or having problems, just digesting my food, not trusting myself, just stuff was going on, internally. And it got to the point where I was just so sick and tired. I was sick and tired of the way that I was feeling. But prior to this particular moment that I'm about to talk to you about, I thought that I would be having those physical ailments. I would just have to deal with them. I just felt that that was just something that I would be dealing with. And then just one day where I got so sick and tired of feeling the way that I was on the inside, and I stopped and I asked myself, what is going on? That is my favorite question of all time. It's like a question that has become my best friend, because no sooner than I ask that question, I start getting answers as to what exactly is going on. And
going on with yourself, just trying to figure out what's going on with Lisa.
Exactly. And it was like a carved out space and time where I must have been ready and prepared to hear what I was about to hear this particular day in the basement of my home, where I heard a voice say that with the exact same thoughts that you brought yourself to this space, I'm going to show you how to use those same thoughts to get yourself out. And, when I heard this, I was like, oh my goodness, like, what did I just hear? First of all,
wow. Wow.
But it grabbed my attention that I heard this. And so I said, okay, well, I started to listen, to what I was hearing. And I began to be consciously aware of my thoughts. As I was telling you yesterday, prior to this moment, I would say that just like many people, I was functioning on autopilot. So, that meaning just getting up every day, doing the same exact thing, alarm clock goes off, and you just get to doing what is typical of you to do. But you're not conscious necessarily of what you're thinking, and you're darn sure not conscious of how it's affecting you internally. But that's what happened to me on this particular day, where I was drawn to my thoughts, to become consciously aware of my thoughts. And I decided to pay attention, and I threw out the word good. And I sat and I waited, and I noticed that when I threw out the word good, there was a correlating emotional reaction that took place inside of my body based on that particular word. And
so you're saying, I just want to be clear, because we talked about this yesterday as we were prepping for this show. And I just found that interesting. And I just want to make sure people understand what you're saying, not that you're not clear. But she's saying this for the people in the back, the people that need it straight. She's saying when she thought of the word good and she sat in that word, she started to feel good. And we're going to talk about manifestation and why it doesn't work for some people, why some people think it's magic. Just because you manifest, it's supposed to just come presto, magical, it is there. No, it's not about that. It's about the neurons in your mind. It's a lot of different things, but I'm going to allow Lisa to continue. But I just wanted to interject quickly just to let you know how simple this is. It's all about how you think. It's all about what you feel and what you manifest in your life and how to manifest that. Go ahead, Lisa. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So I sat and I could feel, a vibration. I could feel something going through my body that resonated with this word called good. And so right then and there, I decided, oh my goodness, I'm going to become a scientist of myself and really test and see if what I just experienced was the reality of what I was thinking that it was. So I decided to throw out the word bad. And I sat and I waited, and I noticed that the response in my body was completely different than the response that I got for the word good. And So for quite some time, I began to pay attention to specific words and how those words made me feel inside of my body. But overall, in that moment, what I realized was that for every single thought that we're thinking, whether we're consciously aware of the thought or not, there is a correlating emotional response that goes through the body. And that is the relationship that we have in like this cyclical manner where a thought equals an emotion, and that emotion equals, and that together the thought and the emotion equal your actions. And when you're doing something over and over and over again, and it's particular to, you know, to a particular person, you would call that person's personality. You know, you would say that, you know, this person tends to behave this way, or tends to react that way, or tends to do, you know, this, that, or the other. But it's because of what they're thinking, first of all, what they're assuming about themselves, what their conception is about themselves. All of that is happening internally. So whether they're saying, anyone is saying it out of their mouth or not, this is what's happening inside the relationship that's happening inside of the body. But I realized that thought connected with emotion equals the actions and outcomes, the outcomes that you're going to experience in your life. And I also decided, okay, if this is the way, because I know for a fact now that this is the way that human beings function, this is how we're reacting and responding to things, I was going to decide, or I decided to change, become consciously aware of what my thoughts were, and decide whether or not those whatever feeling that I was I was having in my body, decide whether or not that feeling was something that felt good or bad. And if it felt bad to me, then I was going to change the feeling. And that's what I decided to do. And I started my business back in 2011 because of it, so that this would be something that I would always pay attention to. Because I wanted to teach people from that moment on that we have the power, that no sooner than you change your thoughts, you can change your entire life, your entire reality.
I totally believe that, and I agree with you. I always say, when you change your mind and you make your choices, you change your life with the choices that you make. A lot of people want to change their lives. They don't know how to change their lives. But when you change your mind, meaning your way of thinking and how you're looking at that, one of my favorite words is perspective. That is my favorite word.
You and I are on the same page.
Yes, because it's truly, no matter what you're thinking, no matter what you're doing, no matter how you're feeling, it's about perspective. You can look at it this way, which is a negative way, and you're speaking negativity into your mind, your body, your spirit, or you can say it that way, where you're speaking positivity. It really is about what we always say, is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? A lot of people have heard that, but do you really understand the dynamic and the power of that? Really about how you're looking at things and what are you speaking to yourself? So I know you talk about speaking to that child within, and as a life coach, I always talk to people and say, we have to get to the root in order to really work on your future and your now. We have to find out how you're thinking. You know, what are you doing to feel this way? What are you doing to better yourself? What's going on? So even as a life coach, I ask my clients all of the time, just tell me just a little bit about your past, a little bit about your habits, your behavior, because there are a lot of adults walking around in their child body. They're childlike on the inside, but they have this adult body because they have not healed the wounds of childhood, the childhood trauma. Those wounds are still there, and they're walking around with that hurt, that confusion, that feeling unwanted or undesirable, or whatever those feelings are that are submerged down within because you didn't want to address them. And now you're an adult and now you are forced to address them. And then that's when emotional intelligence comes in. That's when that secondary emotion called anger comes in. And it's really not because you're angry or because you're snapping or because you're quick tempered. It's because you haven't healed the wounds of your childhood traumas.
Exactly. And this was not necessarily the focus being childhood traumas, but for myself, this is part of I don't know if I would call it a project, but the process was this. First of all, I have a book out right now, or an e-guide called Go Back and Heal Little You, a guide to giving yourself your voice back.
Love that.
And I'll give you the link for that in case your audience might want to look at that.
I'm sure they do.
And what happened was I had a spontaneous scenario occur where I was actually asleep. And all of a sudden I started being shown short, I'll say as if you're watching a reels of images going by. I started being shown these images, which I'll call flashes of memories of childhood scenarios. And I was being given the opportunity to pick any one of those scenarios. And what I was hearing in the background, and in case people, you might be picking up on the fact that I am what's called clairaudient. And what that means is I have the ability to hear beyond what we're hearing, the five senses, basically. So I hear a lot. And when I'm working with my clients, I can hear beyond. I can hear what their heart is saying. So even if whatever the words are coming out of their mouths, I tend to be able to hear beyond that.
Right.
But I'm able to do it with myself as well. So, this particular evening, I was granted the opportunity to pay attention to a particular, or to choose a particular scenario. So I could go back and actually, initially, I didn't know what was going to happen. I was just being prompted to choose a particular scenario. And it turned out that it was a scenario that allowed me to go back and have a conversation with my younger self. And what started to happen was very, very profound, because in having that interaction with my younger self, and what I mean by that is this is just an energetic aspect of the self. And, it's another aspect of helping people to go deeper into understanding of what you just said. But everything is energy and nothing ever dies. So especially as a human being, just like you said, if someone does not deal with something and they are either, you could be consciously aware of it or not consciously aware of it. However, if it creates an energetic imprint inside of the body, then it will cause an energetic blockage of some kind that ultimately manifests physically.
Yes.
So a lot of physical ailments that people have, and I'm not a doctor. We'll just put the disclaimer out there. I'm not a doctor. So, don't take anything I'm saying as medical advice. However.
But you are a researcher. And that's the thing. You are a researcher.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have been since 2011. And, I'm having these experiences myself, and I'm sharing those I share with people what I experience, and I offer people the opportunity to take a look based on me saying, hey, this is what happened with me, and perhaps it's something that could be happening with you. And that's how I always offer my information. So with this particular scenario, I was offered the opportunity to go back and have a conversation with an energetic aspect of my younger self. And when I began to have that communication with my younger self, I was my younger self, or my younger aspect. She was energetically helping me to understand what she needed at that moment in time that I was not able to give when I was that age. So if little Lisa needed love, little Lisa needed validation, little Lisa needed to be hugged, little Lisa needed to be understood. And I was able to transfer that information or that communication to little Lisa energetically.
Mm-hmm.
So we had an energetic exchange, basically. And and when that occurred, when that there was an energetic transfer, a transfer of energy between the two of us. When I gave little Lisa what she needed, it was like I go deeper into it in the book, but basically the images that I was being shown in the very beginning, they began to break up like a computer glitch. They broke up and dissipated. And little Lisa, or my connection with little Lisa, we reintegrated with one another, but in a different way. And it turns out that when I shared this information with a doctor, actually. It turns out that the very next day or 2 days later, I happened to be interviewing a doctor who considers himself the anxiety doctor or something like that. He pays very close attention to anxiety and stress and all of that. And I was letting him know about my experience that I'd had with this energetic exchange with my younger self. And he said, he gave a scientific term to what I had experienced. And I said, and that happens all the time with me. I'll have a experience and then I'll learn what the scientific or medical terminology is behind it. So what he was explaining to me was that the energetic the transfer of energy and the breaking up and the coming back together and all of that was my body taking concentrated information that it could not handle in a concentrated manner and dispersing it in a way so that my body could now handle all of it, in a way that was more workable. And when I found that out from him, I said, oh my goodness, because that's exactly how I felt.
Wow.
I felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Yeah. I had been experiencing some pain in my left shoulder that is completely gone. But also what stood out to me was when I searched myself for the storylines that had been created as a result of that particular moment. Because what's happening is, if you're experiencing a trauma of any kind, and that word trauma can be misleading sometimes, because when people hear trauma, they're thinking some major, like a plane fell out the sky.
It's so funny that you're saying that, because I was going to say just that. It doesn't have to be a trauma in the most common definition of the word. It doesn't mean that you had to get raped or you didn't have to get abused.
Exactly.
Trauma is relative to who you're talking to.
Exactly. And it's anything that you're it's anything that you, the individual, was not able to handle in a particular way when you desire to be able to. So that's another way of looking at it as well. And so because so many so many of us, like you were saying, did not have an opportunity when we were younger where something might have occurred and we wish that we could have said something, or we wish we could have done something, or we didn't have the words, at that time, or just whatever it may be, you get stalled right there. It'll embed itself right there because that's something that your
development is arrested at that point.
Exactly. So my experience allowed me, I was talking about the storylines, where it turns out that as a result of that particular event, I was not consciously aware that there were a lot of different storylines. There were a lot of different things that I started to play out, so to speak, in terms of whatever stories I might have been telling myself, assumptions I'm making about myself, or whatever, are proceeding from this particular event.
Right.
And once I was able to have that interaction with little Lisa, all of those storylines were gone from out of my body. And the only reason I know that is because, first of all, I didn't know they existed. So there's a lot of subconscious stuff that is happening as a result of these embedded traumas that we're completely unconscious of, but I became aware of it when I could feel it absent from my body. That's when I was aware that there had been a lot of energetic stuff that was taking place as a result of that moment.
So I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been married a gazillion years.
Yes. Yep.
So first, before I continue, tell them how long you've been married.
23 years.
23 years, and she's only 25, people. She's only 25. We're at 25.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
so when I find it fascinating because with relationships, that's when you begin to see the real you. That's when you begin to see the unhealed wounds. So how did the little girl Lisa show up in her big girl Lisa's marriage?
Well, I had been, like I said, since 2011, I had been, processing all of this. So as I began to process and understand that, or begin to understand myself more, we went, let's just say, and my husband won't mind me saying this, but in the very first year of our marriage, it was difficult because we were getting to know one another, but what I'll say is I had a lot of preconceived stuff that I brought into the marriage to begin with. So I would always say the same type of phrase. I would say a married man is supposed to ... Or
so you were a little judgmental, and you had this ideal man sitting up here that was a husband, and they were supposed to walk this way, look this way, talk this way, treat you this way.
I had a lot of preconceived.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, there you are. All right. And this is the virtual world, people.
Yeah.
But I really want them to understand that. So continue.
So what I started to notice was that, when you get tired of banging your head against the same brick wall,
Right.
brick wall of you're perceiving things to need to be a certain way, or and they're just not going that way, or they're just not going that way. Whatever it is you thought it was supposed to be, it's not going that way. So eventually, when I was able to, and this was as a result of my paying attention to my thoughts and all of that, I began to be more trusting of myself and my ability to pay attention to and allow myself to process what am I thinking, that what is causing me to feel like I need to control things in the manner in which I was trying to control them. And it turns out that what that had to do with was fear. So what I mean by that is, if you have things that were going on with you in your life that you had not dealt with, then you have a lot of fear going on that you're not, you have trust issues, you have a lot of fear, you have a lot of things going on that are going to come up, of course, in a marriage and any type of relationship, because you have not dealt with them. But as I was able to trust myself and begin to process thoughts and change thoughts and all of that within myself, and I began to have a better relationship with myself, and I came to a place where I liked myself, then my relationship with my husband completely turned around as a result of that.
I'm so glad that you said that, because that's really the key. And typically when we're pointing the finger and telling someone how they should act, how they should behave, this is what I think, it's because there's something going on with you. And when you begin to grow and heal and really love yourself, you are able to extend that in any relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or whether it's a friendship. You often talk about the relationship with ourselves, which I think is significant to any relationship we have with anyone. It is up here. when we're talking about relationships, and a lot of people have difficulties relating in different type of relationships, but the relationship you have with oneself is paramount, and you will learn a lot about other people. That's just the biggest lesson you can learn in any relationship. You not only learn about people, but you really begin to learn about yourself. If you have close relationships, if you're married, if you have that family dynamic involved, you can learn a lot about that. So talk about the relationship with yourself and how that is so important in just really growing and really understanding how this thing called life really works, and that love component.
That was, beginning to have a conversation with myself and paying attention to my own internal conversations, the stuff that I was saying to myself.
Oof.
What the most important has been, it continues to be, because it's not something that you're going to put down. You're always on a daily basis, or at least that's my practice. On a daily basis, I pay attention to my thoughts. And one of the things because I have a mastermind, it's a Feel It Real mastermind. One of the things we're working on right now, that we have a lot of inherent tools that are already within us that we can utilize in order to bring ourselves to a space of being more comfortable, to be inside of our own bodies. Because a lot of times we're exiting the body in blaming, we're exiting the body in looking for something outside of ourselves to fix something. We're always exiting ourselves and looking for something outside of ourselves in order to fix something. And in actuality, we have inherently tools inside of us that we can utilize. One of them you talk about, and I've been doing this for years, but meditation is one of the most profound tools that doesn't cost a thing, that I will always advocate, because when you have the ability to just take a couple of minutes and spend time with yourself and hear what you are saying, above and beyond all of the noise that we're hearing on a regular basis, which we don't even have a true understanding of how much information we're taking in. That we're filtering our assumptions and conceptions of ourselves through that information, without having heard a thing from ourselves about who we are. And the more and more we spend time with ourselves, the more and more we begin to trust in ourselves, the more and more we begin to know who it is we are versus who it is we've created in order to survive an external circumstance.
Or who we are through someone else's eyes, or who people told us we are. And so many people that are very uncomfortable spending time with themselves. They don't like it. They're bored. They don't understand it. And, I always say, if you don't want to spend time with yourself, how do you expect someone else to enjoy your company? You cannot even enjoy your own company. You have to get to a point in life. And I'm not talking about just the young girls. I'm talking about some older women and men that have a hard time spending time with themselves. That's why I love teaching meditation to people who have never done it, brand new, beginners, because it's so important to get in tune with who you are. And that resonates throughout the rest of your life and into the world that you're touching in any field that you're in.
Absolutely. And the other thing, so that's one tool that people can just, and you can start off slowly. I think that what happens is, because people hear a certain term and then it's assigned to whomever the original, people that were teaching something, and they might have taught it in a specific way. And then it gets bogged down with the dogma of things. And then people shun away from it because they're being forced to do things in a specific way, when that might not be their way. Because frankly, meditation can be, you're getting on a bike and riding for, you know, in a quiet area, anything that brings your focus back to yourself and quiets down your external surroundings can be a form of meditation. So when people hear
That's right.
and it allows them to say, oh, okay, it doesn't have to be, you know, sitting in a particular pose and doing this.
I'm so glad you're saying this.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're saying this, because even the classes that I teach, I talk about meditating. I had to get a root canal. Mm-hmm. So in the dentist chair, he asked if I wanted headphones, did I want to listen to music? And I said, no, I'm good. Mm-hmm. I sat there in that chair with that chitter chatter, because you'll begin, the more you do it, you'll learn to tune out all of the chatter around you and really focus inwardly. So I was in the dentist chair, they were doing what they had to do, and I was sitting back and I was meditating. Nobody knew it. And I just really took myself on a meditation vacation. Those are my favorite vacations.
Oh my goodness. You can travel anywhere.
Right. And somebody could be talking, they could be arguing, they could be mad, they could be negative, and you can just get right in tune with yourself and tune it all out and really not even hear that. And that takes practice. That's why it's called meditation practice. And that trait takes strength to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And that will help with people out there. If you have anxiety, if you have depression, if you have the chitter chatter of negativity in your ear, dream killers, whoever, if you just have something in your ears that you're absorbing and you no longer want to do that, meditation is very, very, very helpful for that. Because at the end of the day, Lisa, it doesn't matter what anyone else says about you or describes you as. It's really what you think of yourself. Absolutely. And if you know that, you know, and then when, like, I was talking about anger being a secondary emotion, because if someone can push those buttons, if someone can really get into your head and really change the way how you think about yourself and what you think about yourself, then that is a problem, not on them, but on you, because it is resonating at some point, because maybe it's some truth to it. And that's when you begin healing, and you can heal and you can grow at any time. My coined phrase is, it's never too late to remix your life, and at any time. And I really want to talk to the older people out there, especially because so many people I hear time and time again say, well, I'm too old to change. I'm too old to do this. No, at this very moment, if you make that choice to change and want better for yourself, doggone it, you can get it. It's really as simple as making the choice to be better.
Exactly. And, you know, I just want to, there's another tool that, there's another couple of tools I'd like to tell your audience about. One is called auto-suggestion. And I believe it's Dr. Bruce Lipton, who is a scientist, who talks about this, where if you want to begin, if you don't like something that's going on in your life or something that's going on about yourself, there are other ways to move beyond that. So we have a couple of different things we could do. We could go in and we could actually, you know, go to the root and find out where the root came from, or we could suggest other things, because everything that is happening with us is based on an assumption that we're making about ourselves. So you are able to go into your, let's say, your computer programming, because right now we're functioning off of a present program that is running over and over and over again. And just like you were talking about perspective earlier, when you change the program, you change the perspective. So in order to suggest something other than what you are suggesting right now to yourself, and you're not consciously aware of it, as you're going off to sleep. So there's 2 times that the body automatically goes into, and I'm sorry, my dog is barking in the background, but that's the nature of life. There are 2 times that the body automatically goes into what's called a hypnotic state, very naturally, so that you're able to make a suggestion that will go into your programming without your resisting it. So if let's just say someone comes up to you and I always use like, you're a millionaire. Let's just say they're telling you you're a millionaire during the day and you're resisting that thought because it's not currently you.
Oh no, I know you're not talking about that, but I received that. But
okay.
I'm not resisting that, but
okay, so that's yours. And say for instance, a person is resistant to that. They're resistant to that because it's not a part of their current programming. So a way to change programming without it being something that you'll be resistant to, or in a more effortless way, is utilizing this thing called auto-suggestion. Well, that's one of the ways that they term it. There are 2 times that your body goes into a natural hypnotic state, and it's called the theta state, THETA. That is right before you're going off to sleep and right before you wake up. Those actually are the states by which I usually get a lot of downloaded information, and that information is coming because I've already planted a seed somewhere else down the line, asking a question or looking for an answer, whatever it was that caused the information to come. I had already planted the seed some time ago, but it'll show up in this time frame, and the reason why it's showing up in that time frame is because you're not resistant, to the information that's being suggested to you. So if you want to suggest something to yourself, no matter what that may be, as you're falling off to sleep in that relaxed state, you want to gently say a short phrase to yourself. I am confident. Let's just throw that out there. I am confident. And keep saying that to yourself gently as you're going off to sleep. And what'll happen is over time, as you're suggesting that to yourself as you're going off to sleep and as you're waking up, without your physical effort to do anything, the programming will start to change, and over time you will feel confident. So that's how that tool works. Also, and I did see your prompt. Also, there's something called revision, where we don't understand that if we didn't like how our day went, any portion of the day, every single night as you're going off to sleep, you can go back and pay attention to every single aspect of your day and do something called revision. You can revise a moment in time and say to yourself, how would I have wanted that to go? And revise that inside of your mind. And no sooner than you make the revision, because your mind doesn't recognize the difference between what is real and what is being suggested in the mind. But as you make that revision to yourself as you're going off to sleep, your body's neurological response, just like we talked about in the very beginning, we're coming full circle, will react to what you wanted it to be, and you'll notice that your day, the shift in you, will cause an outer shift in your external environment.
I can, that's me. When you talk about revision, I'm thinking about me, and I can attest to that. I practice revision a lot. I mean, everything that you're saying, I'm glad that you're saying, and I appreciate it, because our listeners, our viewers need to hear that. And I'm right in line with you in terms of what you're talking about, because I think it's powerful. I know we don't have that much time left, but I think what you're saying is so powerful, and I hope people really listen and they research you and follow you and really download that ebook. But I want to end with choices and manifestation, because we talked about manifestation and how some people say, well, it doesn't work because they think it's magic, and they've heard the law of attraction. All you got to do is will it and attract it to you, and you'll get it, presto, magical, voila, here it is. But it doesn't work that way, because I've heard people say time and time again, manifestation only works for some people. It doesn't work for everyone. So can you talk about manifestation?
Well, one of the,
If you can talk about it in about a minute, and then I'm going to hit you with something else, and then we're going to close out.
okay, so one of the things that I noticed that won't allow people to be able to manifest is, number one, that they don't remain persistent. They don't remain persistent or consistent in whatever it is that they're looking to manifest. So no sooner than they decide what their desired outcome is, if it doesn't work in whatever time frame that they have a preconceived thought about, they let it go and then say it didn't work. That's not how manifestation works at all.
Yeah.
Any shift or change that's happening in the, first of all, anything that's gravitating toward us is gravitating toward us because we are the creator of the gravitational pull. So whatever we have in our lives right now is based on whatever we were thinking, and we're master manifestors. If you look at your life,
that's right.
you manifested everything that's there. So if you want something to change or something to be different, it must first change in you in order to be able to be a gravitational match. So that's the part that people have to pay attention to, is the clarity of what they actually want versus what they're compromising. Because a lot of times people are compromising before they even get really clear on what it is they even really desire. And the body cannot be tricked. You cannot say one thing out of your mouth and have something gravitate to you just because you're saying it. That's not how the body works. The neurology inside of your body is the magnetizer of whatever it is that you desire in your life. So you have to spend time understanding that and spend time with yourself in order to have that change happen inside of your body so that you can manifest whatever it is that you're looking to see the outcome of.
Absolutely. Very well said. All right. So let's talk about choices.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that, and I'm gonna leave it just there and allow you to continue that.
Okay. Okay. So, bottom line is everybody has a choice in their life for, I'll take it back to when I first was paying attention to my thoughts and the fact that, I had the ability to change a thought. Right there, I realized, oh my goodness, I have a choice. I can either, if something no longer serves me, or, and what I mean by that is, whatever's going on in my life, at some point, it did serve me. Everything that's happening in people's lives, it serves them to some degree, or they wouldn't still be holding on to it. If you begin to have an inner conflict inside of yourself and you no longer are resonating with something, it means that somewhere along the line, you've planted a different seed. You're seeing something different is happening with you. A different choice is rising up for you, because what once resonated with you and was all comfy, cozy inside of your body is no longer comfortable. And that's why the discomfort has come to show you or to teach you or give you those clues to say, something's different. Something different is happening here. And what I want to say about choice is, every single day you have the ability to pay attention to what your thoughts are resonating inside of your body and make the choice as to whether or not whatever's going on inside of you serves who you are right now, makes you feel good, and you can decide whether or not you are going to take that emotional state of being or that state of being with you where you're trying to go.
Boom. Another word, expectation, and then we're going to close out. If you can just give 30 seconds on what you think about expectation, and should you expect anything out of your life?
Oh my goodness, yes, you should expect. You should expect miraculous things out of your life. And I always tell people, allow yourself to dream and expect as big as you have ever done in your entire life, because once you really do start to learn the science, I'll say the science, not the woo woo or the magic or once you begin to learn the science of the body, you will begin to expect. You will live in a state of expectation, because you'll understand that you are the creator of those outcomes based on the changes that you are consciously making inside of your body in order to be able to allow yourself to expect more.
Absolutely. You have the paintbrush. You have the paintbrush.
Exactly.
You can stroke it how you want. You can paint the picture that you want. You can choose the paint that you want. Exactly. And you had to really just think about that. You are the artiste. You are the artist of your life. You hold the paintbrush. Yes, we know God is the perfect planner, but he gives you the ability and the wisdom to make decisions over your life. You don't have to relinquish that paintbrush to anyone else. You can hold on to it. You can make your strokes broad, thin. You can use the colors you want in your life. That's what you really have to know. And you need to. I require you to expect abundance in your life. You have to set that expectation for yourself. You have to make that choice to want better for yourself. You have to learn how to manifest and be aligned in what you're thinking and feeling. Because even if you're thinking, like Lisa said, one way, your body is saying something else, and that's why you're not receiving what you want out of life. I'm here to tell you, and Lisa will agree, you can have anything you want out of life. You have to want it bad enough, and you have to make the choice to be obedient to yourself, your thoughts, and your desires. Lisa, I thank you so very much for joining me. We have to do a part 2 because there's so much more to unpack.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'd love to. This was fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. So absolutely. It was great seeing you other than Facebook. It was great seeing you here.
Great seeing you also.
And I appreciate you so much. And if you're doing something, if you need me, I'm there. I appreciate you. Thank you for answering the call and your calling, because you're truly a gift, not only to yourself and your family, but to the world, because you are a teacher. And you're helping people do better and want better for themselves. And I applaud you for that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I had a great time, and thank you to your audience. And I hope to see everybody again.
Absolutely. So maybe we'll do part 2 with Lisa, maybe in May.
Perfect.
Will that work? Like right on the spot? Will that work?
Yep.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. For more information about me, Kendell Lenice, you can visit livingtruelivingyou.com. All right. Until next time, God bless. Say bye, Lisa.
Bye.
God bless everybody. Peace.